Hiya. So, this is my first video I'm filming in my apartment. So, yeah, I'm tremendously thrilled and very happy, and so thought I'd bring it down a notch with a little talk on a little life. Trigger warning for pretty much everything on earth. I will not really be explicitly discussing anything, because this book is tremendously upsetting. It's one of my favorites, but it also is the one that hits me in the heart the most. So that's an interesting combo for me. However, I do think that it tells a certain story in a way that I've never seen it done before, and I think that's tremendously important, and it is one of my favorite books. So I just wanted to chat about it, you know? Here we go. So this book is all about trauma. The first time that I read it, it was 2 years ago, and I thought that maybe Yanagihara had gone just a little too hard on the Jude suffering. I was like, you can pull back a little bit, you're good. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. This time, when I reread it, I don't think so anymore. I don't know if this is because I'm older, or if this is because I'm like less shocked by it because this is my second viewing. But it makes sense that as many things happen to Jude as do happen to Jude, because, you know, yes, he does go through a tremendous amount of trauma and awful things in life, but it makes sense. When people are put in vulnerable situations, they are more likely to encounter the situations that he continually encounters, and just to encounter them repeatedly. Also, comorbidity and medical conditions does not strike me as strange. I definitely think at first glance this book has a lot of sadness in it, and you start to think, wow, it's like she took a book of like every bad thing that could happen and just every 15 pages pick something out. And I understand that. However, if Jude never experienced any joy alongside these traumas, I would totally agree with you. There is like the complaint that this book is trauma porn, and I think I used to agree with that a little bit, but now this book is just about life. Bad things happen to people all the time, and you know, it sucks, but also he has tremendous, just wonderful things happen to him. He has people who love him. He gets so lucky with Harold. He gets so lucky with just his everything. I just think that he experiences this friendship that so seldom anyone gets to experience. And it kind of balances out because, you know, everyone has their fair share of trauma, and Jude certainly probably has more than his fair share. But he also has a lot of joy in his life. And the fact that, this is spoiler warning, the fact that he ends up dead at the end. The first time I read it, I was just really upset, and I was like, this didn't have to happen. But now that I'm a little older and maybe a little wiser, this handles mental illness in a way that I don't think I've ever seen it done before. It takes it, and it doesn't make you have to get better in order for you to have a fulfilling and like accomplished life. And I think that that is a mistake that so many books make with this concept, is that if you're depressed, then you will end up happy, and if you're suicidal, then you will fall in love with life at some point, and you will just be like, wow, can't believe I went through that phase. This book handles like true and real mental illness as it affects a person long term. And that's what I think is one of the coolest things about this book, is how it starts when they're very young and goes until their old age, because life is like that. Like, in many stories, it's like a constant, like, you got, you know, your narrative, like, mountain that they give you in, like, middle school. They adhere by that, and that's not what life is like. This is what life is like, and I really appreciated that about it. So, trigger warning for abusive relationships. I had to skip what felt like 2 chapters just because I genuinely just could not handle it. Was not emotionally ready to deal with whatever was happening here. And if you struggle with that, I honestly recommend you don't read this book. I think that as much as I recommend this book, I also say that if you have any doubt in your mind that you'll be able to handle it, don't read it. Not worth it. Not worth it. So there's 2 big things that this book does that it handles in a way I've never really seen done before, and that is friendship and chronic illness. So I'm just going to read you a little line about friendship. A little line, a little life. This explains like the whole thing about the friendship that really strikes me. He took pleasure in his friendships, and it didn't hurt anyone, so who cared if it was codependent or not? And anyway, how is a friendship any more codependent than a relationship? Why was it admirable when you were 27, but creepy when you were 37? Why wasn't friendship as good as a relationship? Why wasn't it even better? It was 2 people who remained together, day after day, bound not by sex or physical attraction or money or children or property, but only by the shared agreement to keep going, the mutual dedication to a union that could never be codified. Friendship was witnessing another slow drip of miseries and long bouts of boredom and occasional triumphs. It was feeling honored by the privilege of getting to be present for another person's most dismal moments and knowing that you could be dismal around him in return. God, I love this book so much. I just think it handles so many things in such a delicate and just beautiful way. Second, I wanted to talk about how this book handles chronic illness, something that I have a bit of experience with. And I think that Hanya Yanagihara has to deal with chronic pain, given the way that she writes about it, just because of the way it reads like she knows. Here, let me read some lines. You know, I always end up doing this, and I feel like that's not, like, the point of a review is not just to read you the book, but I feel a lot of these books that I love so much, I feel like I can't do as good of a job recommending them as the book itself can. So, he felt in those minutes his body's treason, how sometimes the central tedious struggle in his life was his unwillingness to accept that he would be betrayed by it again and again, that he could expect nothing from it and had to keep maintaining it. That, really hit me. I was like, wow, if you experience chronic pain and chronic illness, this, makes you feel seen, and it just does so much with it. I can't articulate it properly because it makes me emo, but there's this discussion of the able-bodied that, in recognition with being disabled, that I think is fascinating. It was impossible to explain to the healthy the logic of the sick, and he didn't have the energy to try. Also, the way that this discusses a partnership with someone, between 2 people, one of whom is chronically ill and one of whom is able-bodied, I think it captures this thing that so few people get right. And that's this. The person he loved was sick and would always be sick, and his responsibility was not to make him better, but to make him less sick. And I think that's it. That's what most people don't get that they need to. I am tremendously grateful to Hanya Yanagihara for this book. It genuinely has shifted my perspective on so many things. It has made me, I think, honestly, a better person, a more whole person, with a deeper understanding of human, suffering and joy, and just the human experience, and made me come to terms with a lot of things in my life. So, basically what I'm telling you is, if you feel emotionally and mentally prepared to read a book that will be profoundly upsetting, likely very triggering and upsetting, then I do recommend A Little Life with all my heart. However, if there's even an inkling in the back of your mind, a little bit of you that says, you know, I don't know if this is a good idea, then I just as wholeheartedly recommend that you just stay away from A Little Life. I know that it gets a ton of like great commentary on BookTube, and there's a reason for that because it's a fantastic book. However, it is not worth your mental health, and that's something that I'm still learning. This book is tremendously triggering, and I read it and I think to myself, I don't know why I'm doing this. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. I'm filming this for Vidmas. I don't know when it's coming out, but this is going down in history as the first video filmed in my new apartment, so that's very exciting. My first apartment. So yeah, that was A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I hope you guys are doing real well. I hope you're staying like safe and healthy, and I hope you and your family are happy. And I hope you're enjoying Vidmas. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you very soon. Bye.